to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the #1 internet singles talk network, and you are on a brand new show today. We're on a show called Ask Jason Weiss, and we have our host right here with us, Jason S. Weiss. He's an attorney and a coach. And welcome, Jason, to the show, to your show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Yes, it will turn into my show, but I'm very excited. I mean, this is great. When you and I were first talking, when you said it was radio, I'm like, great, I got the perfect look to be, a radio person. And then I find out it's live, so it's all good. But I'm excited. I just I love this. This is great, and I am so honored to be here.
Oh, it's great having you. Well, I'm so glad that you're joining our network. Those of you that don't know me, I am Cece Schatz, and I am not only the doyenne of relationship building, but I'm also the president of our Going Solo Network, which is also the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. And so I'm just the moderator today. So we're just going to kind of field some questions, do some things. But let's talk a little bit about you, because you actually, your areas of practice are commercial, business litigation, sports, entertainment, business transactions. And you are a litigator handling aspects of business and commercial litigation. And so this show is going to be discussions on the journey of legal court system, legal situations, what to do, and more importantly, what not to do, helping those difficult situations, giving understanding and compassion. So what that means in a nutshell, Jason, is ask Jason Weiss. Ask a question. And exactly. So it is so great having an attorney and a coach, someone that we can go to and just get a little bit of information so that we kind of know the direction of maybe we need to follow. Do we need to seek additional legal advice, or do we need to do blah, 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 or whatever? So I am really excited about this. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to get into commercial business litigation, sports. I think sports and entertainment sounds extremely exciting and interesting, and all of that. And then why you decided, this is like a 2-part question. So that's #1. And then why you decided to add being a coach onto, what you do as an attorney. So share with us your background.
So I've always loved sports and entertainment, music, sports. I played in high school. I played, not on the college level, but I played, on some of the club teams in the intramural in college. And I loved it. And I went to law school, and, first day of law school, they ask you what you want to do and areas you want to practice. And I just saw Jerry Maguire, and I wanted to be a sports agent. That was it. That was my thing. I was going to be a sports agent. And if not, then I was going to represent high net worth individuals, because in my, infinite years, being 23 years old, starting law school, I thought, that's where the hard work, the money, and the gratitude was. And I went and worked for an insurance defense firm. Great learning experience, taught me how to be a litigator. And then I switched over and got to work at a law firm where they were building a sports and entertainment practice. And I literally was in sports authority. That lets you know how old and dated this was. And there was a professional boxer there signing boxing gloves. And I started talking with him and got him to sign a whole bunch of boxing gloves for holiday gifts and for clients and all of this. And I said something like, who's your lawyer? And he said, I don't have a lawyer. I'm like, what? So fast forward about 10 days later, and I had my first sports client, and it was awesome. And then from there, it went deeper and deeper, and more sports clients. And again, I had to do the litigation work, and I was very good at it. I took some classes at the University of Miami where I went to law school, and I actually took a lit skills class, and I won a competition. So I was very excited with that. And I was ranked #2 in the class for the litigation class that we had. So, it was just awesome. But I never really went to law school wanting to be a litigator, wanting to be a practicing attorney. I really just wanted to do business, put deals together. And we hear all the time in our profession, I don't want the attorney to be a deal breaker. So I'm not. I'm a deal maker. I do whatever I can to get the deal done. But at the same time, your client needs to know the potential pitfalls, the ups, the downs, the liability, the exposure. And that's where my litigation background kind of moved into the transactional, because it allows me to anticipate what's going to be litigated, what clause is going to be a problem, what payment term, what this. So I go from there. And I'm going to back step for 1 second. Nothing I'm giving on this talk right now is legal advice. I am not being hired as an attorney. I am not an attorney for anybody. Nothing here should be seen as legal advice. And of course, you should consult an attorney at any point in time where you do have a legal question. I would be more than happy to speak to anybody, but nothing that I'm talking about here is legal advice. You asked me the second part of the question, which is why go into coaching? So I started practicing in September 2020 is when I passed the bar. And I got sworn in about 2 weeks later. I have seen it all in 20 years. I have seen the good. I have seen the bad. I have seen the ugly. I have learned from some of the best attorneys on the planet. I was honored to be some of their associates, to learn from them. I mean, I could go on and on as to, who these phenomenal attorneys are and what they taught me. I'm watching our profession and I'm watching our practice, and unfortunately, we're so busy these days that there's really not a chance to teach. And so many attorneys are coming out of school and they're smarter than I ever will be or ever was. But there are certain things they just don't know. How do you handle a client and break bad news to them? How do you fire a client that isn't paying you? How do you, deal with an opposing counsel who's being difficult? If somebody's not answering an email, if a judge calls you out on something, if you missed a deadline, like, what do you do? And a lot of times the younger attorneys, they don't have a mentor or somebody to go to, or a coach or a consultant. Like, oh my God, I missed a deadline. What do I do? They're afraid to tell their boss, oh my God, I missed a deadline. What do I do? What do I do? I'm going to get fired. Well, I've been helping some of these younger attorneys, and thankfully not while it's happening, but if that's the case, then that's what we're going to do. But more planning ahead. Look, we're all going to miss a deadline. You have excusable neglect. You have, no hardship, no harm, no foul. I mean, we use that. You can fix a mistake in the law. You can call a clerk and say, I screwed up. What do I do? These are all things that they don't teach you in law school. And that's what I've been dealing with seasoned and rookie attorneys and helping them with that. How to set up your own law firm, how to do your trust accounting, how to, get CLE credits, whatever it is. And I've just been finding more and more people have been reaching out to me saying, I hear about your work-life balance. How do I get that? I see that you're moving out of litigation into other areas. How'd you do it? I see that, you've moved jobs in your career. Did it hurt you? How do you, make more money? And these are things that I've been through. So I love to share. I love to teach. I love to speak, which obviously you can see because I've gone 8 minutes straight now. But, I taught at 2 law schools here. I taught graduate school. I loved it. And if I had more time and I could afford to do it, I would do it in a heartbeat. But it's, it's that work-life balance. And right now, if I can teach with the coaching and with my new program that's being launched, Ask Jason Weiss, just like the show, I could do it. And you got to have hobbies. That's the other thing. You got to have hobbies. You got to have ways to decompress. This right here, this is my son's company. It's called Long Pole Life. And he is running with it. And he is doing it, and I'm there just making sure everything is legal, but he's doing marketing. It's great. And that's my hobby. And I get to spend time with my son. My daughter has a company as well. She's doing the same thing. It is awesome.
Well, share with us a little bit about your son's company. Since we mentioned it, let's talk about it. What kind of, so what is it?
My son is 14 years old. He's 6'2". about 200, 205 pounds, and he plays lacrosse. His primary position is he is an LSM. That's a long stick midi. And when he first started, he was not very good. He never knew. He was a little bit, he was the same age as everybody else, but he wasn't experienced. He didn't have playing time. He didn't know everything. And one day his coach saw him out there on the field playing with my long pole from when I was a kid. And he said, interesting. So he switched over to long pole and life got good for him. So we call it Long Pole Life. And the logo on the back of the shirt, which I don't want to stand up and do it, but it says life is better with a long pole. And it's a lacrosse guy. And I don't know if I can turn around.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's very nice.
He worked with a graphic artist, had it designed. And now he's got a website. It's called longpolelife.com, and it's lacrosse apparel. And he goes on there and he does some of the digital marketing and he does some of the stuff, and he's learning. He's learning.
And he's only 14.
He's only 14.
That's great. Here's the thing is if we can inspire our youth, to do things like this, to be able to kind of follow their passion, how awesome that is. And then he's learning life skills along the way, which is pretty cool.
And he's learned, and we learned law together, he and I. We applied for both a copyright and a trademark for this, and what's on the back. So the one on the back, we got the trademark approval. This one is under publication, so we'll see what happens. And we're working on some the copyright protection as well. So he learned about that, and it was great.
Yeah. Plus, it bonds you together as a family, as a father and son, but it also teaches him, different skills to be able to process in life. So, which is very, very important. And really when you're doing something you enjoy, that's the thing. Truly is a blessing. So tell us about your daughter's business.
So my daughter has one. It's called My Lazy Wear. My daughter was 10 when she came up with, Dad, I love sloths. So we got her with the same designer. And they designed a sloth and she loved it. And she put MLW. Those are her initials underneath. And she's like, MLW, this and that. I'm like, sweetheart, everybody loves you. Everybody who knows you loves you, but the world isn't going to want to wear your initials. So let's figure out what that is. And we sat around a dinner table one night and it just came up with it. It was My Lazy Wear, and it's a sloth. And same thing. She sells t-shirts. What a little bit different for her is she actually is in the process of making her own clothing, designing her own stuff. She has my grandmother's sewing machine. And she plays around with that. She has mannequins and fabric, and she makes masks. There's a little girl who the creativity is out of this world on her.
Wow. And how old is she?
She's now 11.
Oh, unbelievable.
I know. She's awesome. She's awesome.
Right. So where your retirement is and your children.
Yeah. Well, when the companies start making profit instead of losing or breaking even, I'll be very happy.
Well, they've got a long ways for their future, but I can see a home and a vacation home for you. One can get you a home and the other one can get you a vacation.
There you go. From your lips to God's ears. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. But that's the thing, isn't it? To be inspiring. You've inspired your children and they've actually turned around and are inspiring you. And it's a pretty cool thing. So tell us a little bit about if someone wanted to, if they had an idea, like wanting to start into business and get things set up, what kind of steps would they need to do if they were looking at developing a business?
Well, I'll speak because you and I are both here in Florida, yeah. So I'll talk about Florida law primarily. First thing that you should do is come up with a name, come up with an idea, make sure somebody else doesn't do it. And I told this to a client just the other day. Just go on the internet, Google your company name, what you want. If there's no website and nothing there, it's usually a good indication you're good to go. and then contact the attorney. Say, this is what I want my company to be called. This is what I want to do it. We can go online. We can make sure the name is there. We set you up as either an Inc. or an LLC. And I speak with you about, whether or not your accountant wants you to do an Inc. or an LLC, and how many members and who's going to be involved and what you're thinking of doing. And then we just paper it up and you run with it. It's once you have the idea and you have the green light for the name and all of that, it's something where I love working with startups. It's great. I can help them and not charge them an arm and a leg. I love when, they'll call me up and they'll say, look, the legal budget's only $5,000, $10,000. Okay, we can get it done for that. Oh, other attorneys have told me it's 50 and this and that. I'm like, down the line it will be, but not to get you started,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, all these things. You want to go public, you want to do this, you want to do internet spends, you want to do marketing, you want to that. Yes, you will need that money, but let's get you making money so that you can spend money.
Right.
And that's my one big thing. When I'm launching my Ask Jason Weiss, I've spoken with so many talented designers and SEO and people to get business and all of this. And you got to spend money. And I understand I've spent money, but I can't keep throwing money at a project and not getting anything back. So if I throw $10,000 at a project and now all of a sudden I'm making 10, 12, 15,000 from that, great. I can now reinvest that. I'm not going to come out of pocket another 10 or 15,000 on top. And if you can find somebody that's willing to work with you and go for the ride with you on that and someone you trust, you're golden. That's half the battle. Getting a great team around you.
No, that's great. That's great advice. So tell us a little bit about, and I don't know if you want to do a break here or we can come back, but what I would like to do is touch on each one of your business, like when the sports. There's a lot of kids now that, are very good in sports and they're going like into college and they're doing scholarships and things like that. But what do they do after that when they're really good? And, is there a possibility of a career? And what steps can parents and them do to maybe propel them into that sports arena? Any suggestions on that?
So if I could talk about that for hours and hours. I taught sports law at two of the local, law schools and colleges. So, so I know that you probably want to push us into a break for a minute or two, but let's tackle that. No pun intended, but
I think that would be good
when we're back. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's something we never talk about. At least I have no knowledge of that at all. So let's do a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about the sports law, especially those out there that may have, children or even themselves, if they have, the ability to progress it into a career, what kind of steps can they do? So we'll talk about that when we get back.
Sounds
so
awesome.
Everyone, you guys are listening to Ask Jason Weiss. Brand new show. You guys can ask your questions, just put them on the comments, and we're happy to be able to answer those for you. Of course, this is not giving you absolute legal advice, but giving you a sense of direction so you can feel it out, see what you need to do. And of course, you can always, give Jason a call and he can point you in the right direction of what you need to do also. So we'll share that information with you. So just before we go on a break, I want to share your website, which is JSW Lawyer, LAWYER.com. All of his information on there. And there's a direct contact. You can contact him there. If you decide after the show that you want to contact him, we'll do that. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about sports law and the ins and outs that, you and I have no idea. So we're going to cover that. Thank you, Jason. We'll be right back. We're back to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We're on the brand new show, Ask Jason Weiss Show. We have our wonderful host here, Jason Weiss, who's an attorney and a coach. I am CC Schatz, your moderator today. Jason will be by himself after this, but we thought maybe it'd be a little bit nice that we kind of do the show a little bit together. So what this show is really about, it's about discussions on the journey of the legal court system, the legal situations, what you do, and more importantly, what not to do. Really helping you through those difficult situations, giving you better understanding and compassion as we move forward. And we're going to talk a little bit now about sports. One of the areas that Jason, you practice in is sports and entertainment. And I hope we can get to entertainment today too. But what do we do, as we had talked about it, if we have a kid, or we know somebody, or even ourselves are inspired to be a sports star, so to speak? How do we get on the path of that?
Well, I'm going to start as a parent of two athletes. Just the thing you always have to make sure is that your child or whoever is the athlete, that they want it, because a lot of times we get caught up and we want it more for them than they want it. So the rule in my house for my children is my daughter is a dancer and my son is a lacrosse player, and they could stop those sports tomorrow if they wanted to, but they must pick another physical activity to do. Because in my house, we feel that, you need 30 to 60 minutes of exercise every single day. You get out there and do it. And if my son decided, Dad, I don't want to play lacrosse anymore, I'm done, and I want to play golf, or I want to run, or I want to do dance, or I want to do gymnastics, or I want to do whatever it is, the answer is yes. So and same thing with my daughter. Dad, she wants to try out for volleyball. Great. Awesome. What do I need to do? Get you the knee pads, get you the sneakers, okay. So the number one thing that we can do is we can support the passion of our children, and don't force them. Don't force them. If they don't want to do it, don't force them to do it. So assuming now that the athlete is the one that wants to do it, what you got to do is you just got to make sure these days, you can play for your high school or your middle school team, but you also, in most sports, they have showcases, and it takes time and travel, and you go places. And, we were in Philadelphia, Maryland, New Jersey, North Carolina, Orlando. We go all over for lacrosse for my son, because he's in showcases. He plays on a team that was in the World Series of youth lacrosse, and it's you go out, you put 100% in at all times. There's been some changes, in lacrosse. They'll start recruiting players in their sophomore and junior year of high school to go play for college. When I was an athlete in high school, I didn't start speaking to colleges till my senior year. No problem consulting with an attorney, finding out legal rights, finding out that stuff. Do not hire an agent while you still have NCAA eligibility, because you want to be very careful that you don't lose it. You need to be very, very mindful of, who you work with, who you put your faith in. College coaches are very strict in visits. So, the best thing would be is, just consult an attorney and let the attorney give you the legal advice. Yes, you can do this. No, you can't do that. You can't, for example, just unsolicited send things to college coaches and expect them to, respond to you. They're not allowed. As much as they would love to talk with you, they can't. They're not being rude. They're not being mean. They'd get their program, they'd get themselves, and they would get your son or daughter in trouble. So there's very strict rules. Do some research on your own. See what those rules are. Learn, get an idea. And again, there's plenty of attorneys out there that know sports law that are not agents that can help. The biggest thing is if you have that dream and you have that passion, just go for it. And again, just be careful of those rules and regulations. That's my one big caveat. Just be careful.
Right. And so if they don't really understand that, let's say a lot of it, you get these big contracts and you get, all the wording kind of throws them. They can take that information that they receive, if they don't quite understand it, and bring it to someone like yourself, or, ask questions about it. And so this way, to get a better understanding, you can read it and then turn around and explain it in, regular language so that you can understand it. I think that's a very smart thing to do. Don't you think?
Oh, 100%. So there's two different things when it comes to sports. You can have an agent that'll help you go ahead. You're done with college, your eligibility is over, or, in some sports you don't have to go to college and you just go straight from high school. And the agent gets you that deal, negotiates the deal terms with the team. And usually the agent will explain and do all of that. But sometimes, you get a college scholarship. You want to be able to read it. You don't understand what it says. You hire an attorney. You're thinking about hiring an agent. You don't know what the contract says. You hire an attorney. A company wants to go ahead and, put you on, college football on EA Sports, and they send you a contract. What do? So again, that you hire an attorney. You don't need an agent. Attorneys, we work by the hour. We don't take, a piece or a percentage like an agent is allowed to do legitimately. So look,
you can also give a recommendation, right? When you read it, you can, because you're familiar with this type of language, this type of contract, you can say, hey, you might want to think about adding this in, and then you could go back. You could also help them with that negotiation of adding back. It's not meaning that, I know that people might be afraid of losing the contract, but if someone's willing to give you a contract, they want you. So they're willing, if it's reasonable, right? So
usually in the sports world, they're kind of take it or leave it. It's the questions that I get more often than not is, I don't understand what this means, or can you explain this, or does it do this, or does it do that? Look, when you're the superstars and the best of the best of the best, you can get whatever you want. There's artists that used to only need, certain color M&Ms in their dressing room before they would go on stage, and only certain things. You could do that when you're the cream of the crop and the best of the best. But when you're, going to college and they're giving you a full ride, it's kind of take it or leave it. And, you're going to go and sign your first, pro, contract. You're governed by the league, so there's a lot that it's more of, I do a lot more explaining than negotiating. The negotiation is done by the agent. I do the explanation.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's glad you said that. And I think it's really important. If you don't understand something, go to somebody that can explain it to you so that you can get a better feel about it. Because there's nothing worse than, signing an agreement, not understanding it, and then finding out, oh gosh, I got to do this, and that. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah.
Correct.
We don't want that. So let's talk a little bit about the entertainment industry, because that is very intriguing. And we actually have on our station, we have a rapper, and he's out there, cutting albums and doing things and stuff like that. So what happens in that? If you've got an inspiring, person in your life, how do they progress into becoming this entertainer and getting out there and hiring people? What do they need to hire? Do they need an agent?
There are so many things that I can answer that question with, you go into the recording studio and you lay down a track. Question number one is, who owns it? Mm-hmm. Who's the producer? Who wrote it? Who gets credit? Who has control over it? How do you get it out there? Can you put it on iTunes? Do you stream it on YouTube? Who pays for the recording studio time? There are so many different questions that is answered. And that's just from going and laying down one track. Could you imagine, an album, or, if you have, like a Zephyr Hills bottle in your video, or Poland Springs, in your video, is that something that's allowed? Or, So basically, they need a very good entertainment attorney. And there are plenty of great ones in Florida, plenty of great ones in New York, California, Tennessee. I mean, they're all over the place. And they all will work with you differently. Some will charge by the hour. Some will take a piece. Some will help you with your agent. Some will help with your promotion. So it's basically, what do you as that up and coming artist want and need? And the answer is sometimes you don't know. So what you want to do is you want to go speak with an entertainment attorney and find out, okay, what it is, what do I have to do? How do I do it? And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's and I look at him and all the things that he's doing, and I wonder, wow, he's got to be making sure that you've got some of the T's crossed and the I's dotted, and as you progress in it. Correct. And you don't want to do anything that's going to hinder you. Absolutely.
No, but you also need to do smart things. Like if you write your own music, get a copyright on it. There was an old urban legend that if you were to take your own music, mail it to yourself or mail it anywhere, and you had the post office stamp on it and showed that the stamp went through, now you're copyright protected. No, not even close. Not even close. You need to just go get a copyright on your song. Go get a copyright on your music so nobody else can steal it. Nobody else can do it. And if they do, then at least you have rights. And copyrights are not very expensive. You can do it by yourself. I mean, I would always recommend hiring an attorney and using an attorney for anything legal. There's my disclaimer, but you can figure it out yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. We do have a comment. This gentleman was commenting about a loss of a rapper. And so, yeah, we are sorry about that. Wayne, thank you for listening and watching the show. We totally appreciate that. And if you have any questions that you want to be asked or you want to have answered,
yeah.
Jason,
so Richard Rappaport, who Wayne just posted up there, I mean, a phenomenal man and just as equally great as an attorney. He was an attorney, Richard Rappaport.
Okay.
He was instrumental in the entertainment sports section of the Florida bar. I was honored to sit on the board of that group for, I think, 2 years. He was awesome, and just such a nice guy. And he knew his stuff, and he was always so willing to help and ask questions and answer questions. And it's gentlemen like that that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Richard Rappaport, John Bradley, who's also an attorney in the entertainment and music world. I mean, these guys, I never hesitate to just pick up the phone. Oh, you did his oh, cool. You did a documentary. You were in that group. So I'm sure we know each other, Wayne. But I mean, so you'd understand. So basically I'm circling back, why coaching and why doing all this? I've decided to basically, I'm going to have our host for today, and I'll be taking over, Cece. So my passions are now CC squared, meaning I'm right now focusing my career on the 4 C's. In no specific order: caviar, coaching, consulting, and coffee. I'm working with a phenomenal organization where I'm handling operations for them and some general counsel work called Motra by Annette. It is caviar, and it's awesome. And I admit didn't grow up eating caviar. I didn't, that wasn't it. And I tried it for the first time, and they have different levels, and the quality is just out of this world. And they have mild, and they have really fishy, and it's great. And the goal is to try to get caviar out there to everybody, and give it a shot, because you got this mild tasting, to me, caviar. Awesome. So that's Motra by Annette. That's my caviar. Coaching and consulting, coaching lawyers, consulting for law firms, consulting with clients, coaching clients, whatever it is, coaching lawyers. And last but not least, coffee. I've been roasting and shipping coffee out all over the world. Actually, I had a package go to Australia. And, I get the coffee, I get the green bean, I roast it. If you want it ground, I grind it up. You want it whole bean it, put it in a pouch, let it sit for a couple days, and I mail it out. And it is awesome. And it's a hobby, and it's something I'm having fun with. So that's my thing right now. The 4 C's: caviar, coaching, consulting, and coffee. And if
now, where can we find this at? Where can we find? Do you have it on your website, or
I do not yet.
Okay.
I'm about to launch Ask Jason Weiss. It is not up and running yet, and on there I will have the coffee, and I love being busy. I love it, and I found my passions, and those 4 C's are really my passions, because it's allowing me to work from home most of the time. I'm in the office today, but work from home, get to see my wife and kids, get to spend time with my dog, and just phenomenal. And look, I told you before the show, I was out in my garden this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then worked out. Never prior to COVID would I ever think on a Thursday morning that it would be okay for me to go in the garden, get my hands dirty, work out, and not have the entire world fall apart around me. And I've learned, and that's one of the things that, I hired a coach. I worked with a coach. I now can do that, and it's great. So I'm just here to help. That's what I want to do.
I think coaches, and I'm one, I do the divorce and dating and life coaching. And I think coaches are really inspirational. I mean, they really help keep you, they inspire you, motivate you, and help keep you on a path that you want to travel. And so that is why it's so, I think it's so important. And also that, you've brought that into your, into what you do, and creating and helping people. So it's really very important, especially when you're talking about different businesses and different things like that, because many times, and I think you can say that, Jason, many times we go into business doing something we truly love. And you're doing the caviar and the coffee, and you're helping people along the way in your legal profession. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the big thing. As coaches, we don't make the decision. I look at myself as more an attorney diagnostician. When an attorney will call me up and say, "Look, I'm not happy." Okay, why aren't you happy? Litany of reasons. I don't have enough time with my family. Okay, what's your number one priority? I want time with my family. All right, let's figure it out. Can we get you somewhere where you're working remote? Could you work on off hours? Could you do this? And things that people never just explored. I mean, look, I went almost 6 figures into debt to go ahead and get my law degree. And then when I finished up and I really didn't want to be a lawyer, it's like, wait, I just spent all this money and I don't even want to be a lawyer? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm screwed up. And I worked, and I'm a very good lawyer, and I worked through it, and I learned, and I've gotten better and better and better and better. And finally, about 3 years ago, I said, this isn't for me. I'm ready for a change. And I'm using my law degree, and I'm still doing just fine. And I'm actually enjoying the business of law because I love it. And I don't have to do as much in the practice, and that's it. I'm trying to be in the business of law, but I also I want to help people. I want to get them to the right people. If you're an artist, I could help you out, but I might recommend somebody else who does more to our liking. It's all about just making sure people get taken care of correctly.
Yeah, creating that stream for them. That's brilliant. And my son's actually going to be starting college, and we're setting up his dorm actually on Saturday. We're all very excited about it. But we talk a lot about his future, and he was getting a little stressed out about trying to figure out what he wanted to do in life. And I said, hey, you're only 18. You're going to have many paths to walk down. and so you just kind of focus on what you really enjoy right now, what you're kind of inspired to do, and you may go down that path, or you may take another path as you travel. I said, don't get so weighed down with your starting. Just start. Just start walking, just start getting on that path. And then things will come to you and you'll say, I enjoy this and I want to go this path. That's what I hear from you, is that you love what you do, but there's also other things you love too, and you want to embrace those. So pretty cool.
I mean, it's you look, do I think I'm going to, be able to support, my family in selling coffee? Probably not. But is it something that I have fun and I could make a little bit of money and I can send coffee to people? Yeah, it's great. I love it. I roasted this morning. It was so much fun. Took breaks from being in the garden and roasted, a pound of coffee. It was great.
You didn't burn any of it, did you?
Nope. I figured out the right time, the right temperature. I set the machine. I check it. Everything is good. And look, for your son starting college, look, I took an accounting class. I dropped it after 2 weeks in because I did not enjoy it. I picked up a math class instead, which I needed it to graduate. So I might as well get it out of the way. Just find what it is. Because if you can if you wake up in the morning saying, all right, I got to do this, as opposed to, I got to do this, you're halfway there. This morning I woke up early and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going in the garden and I'm roasting coffee. I was happy. I woke up an hour earlier than normal to do that. And I was happy. If I have to wake up an hour early because I got to go to court or a deposition or this and that, I'm hitting snooze 8 times. I beat my alarm by 15 minutes. And that's unheard of.
Yeah. So, and I think the COVID, being home, it's really made us, wake up to what is truly important in our lives. When we're looking at life, from our windows, it really is, and we're getting closer to our families and we're doing different things. That really has inspired us to reach out. There are many people out there that are looking to create maybe another income for themselves, or really try to figure out what their passions are to be able to move forward, maybe make a buck or two along the way as they're doing it like you are. And so I think this type of show would be great, because maybe they can get some inspiration, but some questions answered along the way that might help them, give them a sense of direction. We've got, let's see what this person is saying here. Says that 1.8 billion people are infected with the airborne transport. Yeah. Well, thanks for telling us that. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No,
they're listening.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. They're listening. And as long as everybody knows that I'm not giving legal advice, but I have no problem bouncing things around.
Well, and
we're
you
in great
can
shape.
give them legal advice. You need to just pick up the phone and call or reach out.
Exactly.
So let's share your website one more time so everyone gets it. It's JSWLawyer, LAWYER.com. You can reach Jason right there. Go check out his website, see all that he does. He's going to be having another website, which I'm sure you'll put a link on this one, that it'll go to that one. And so that way you get it. But you can come and enjoy the show, ask questions, make comments, maybe get some inspiration along the way, right? That's what we're here for.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So any last words you'd like to say to close out the show, Jason?
Yes. Cece, thank you for helping me. Thank you for making this awesome. And I am so excited to be back in 2 weeks to do this again. And just thank you, Cece.
Well, you're welcome. And I thank you for being here and willing to share your expertise and your knowledge about the law, about some of the avenues that we need to do, but also to give us that inspiration that if we're looking to maybe start a business, or we're looking on a path of entertainment or into the sports arena, and our children are really getting inspired with that, we have somebody we can go and ask some questions on what we need to do and how we need to go about it. and do we need an attorney for these kind of things, and that kind of thing, to keep us out of trouble. Because I tell you what, I often say that, God may very well open the door for me, but I always try to climb through the window instead. So let's not climb through the window. Okay. Let's try to get all of the good information and the stuff that we shouldn't be doing and get that stopped so we can focus on the positive. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, he'll be back on. It's a bi-weekly show, so you'll catch him right here on our noon, which is Eastern time, and then all the other times that are in your time slot. Again, this show is called Ask Jason Weiss, and we have attorney Jason S. Weiss, and he's also a coach here with us live to inspire you, help guide you, and to promote really getting you on the path that you want. And he's here to answer any questions that you might have. So thank you again, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you next time. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.